Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 45 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and now topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. To catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I'm your host, GM, and overseer of Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian. And I'm joined tonight by the Dark Fortune Duelist Meta.
Meow.
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 The resident wild card, Mao.
Meow.
Meow.
Tetsuo's not with us tonight because he's been having a rough week this week at work.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's been working overtime every day.
He has, I think, been nearly every day. I haven't even heard anything from him in the evenings, so...
Yeah.
It's like he dropped off the face of the map.
He's outside mowing or something.
I did send him a message today, and I just said, "Hey, dude, how you holding up?" And he just responded. He's like, "Dude, I'm just sorry. I've been just busy so much." And I'm like, "Dude, no, you don't have to. No apologies on your part, man. It's your job."
Why are you apologizing?
Yeah, why are you apologizing?
For laughing.
I was like, but he's alive. He's well. They have been feeding him. They've given him water. He is allowed to go on walks.
His cats are walking him.
So. They've refilled his his food bowl. So
with those marinara meatballs.
Oh God, please, dude! I saw those things. And I was like, I want to do them now.
Yeah, I think we talked about them 3 times during recording now. So, anyways,
but they look so good.
Yeah, they
He was supposed to come over and make them, and then his mom summoned him away.
Oh, gotcha.
That's how my roommate
by
put
your
it.
parents.
Yeah.
They always get you, don't they?
They do. Worst times, too.
Yep. It's been pretty slow all week, except for today. It was randomly busy.
My week has been incredibly fast. There's been points where I've looked at the clock and I'm like, oh shit, it's almost time to level.
Yeah, the days have gone by fast, but I finally got through all of the Kingdom Hearts games that I haven't played now, other than Coded, which I'm just never going to play because there's no point to that game.
No.
The whole point of the game is to find out that you need to save the guys from Birth by Sleep. But yeah, I played through Dream Drop Distance now, and 0.2 is it a fragmentary pass? I don't know the name.
It's 2.8. 2.8?
2.8 is the whole collection. But now we have 0.2, a fragmentary passage, and I think Dream Drop Distance. Dream Drop Distance, as I said I think I was telling this when Mao and I were recording Pokemon the other night, Dream Drop Distance is the worst Kingdom Hearts game by far.
Really?
Yeah, it was almost going to become my topic, but then we got surprised with some news yesterday, which we'll get to later.
It is Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage.
And that was a lot of fun. I'm sad it was as short as it was.
Sons of the Patriots.
Exactly.
That's the one that's basically a demo for 3, right?
Yes, and
Yeah,
the gameplay, it takes the cool parts of Birth by Sleep where you go into the forums when you build your meter and stuff.
Yep.
But it keeps the way Kingdom Hearts 2 plays. Just hopefully they'll add like drop forms back. I don't think they are. I think you're going to have like your Keyblade forms where he gets like the yo-yos and stuff, but
like I said, I think like the best mechanical system in the background, not like the gameplay, but the mechanical system comes from Birth by Sleep. Because just the ability to customize yourself in a form or manner, or to choose like how you want your loadout to be to build up those bars, really good.
yeah.
But as from playing 0.2 or whatever the hell, definitely like the gameplay style, very probably.
Yeah, and I think I'll get used to the graphical uphaul too. At first I was like, I like the old style, but literally after playing it for like an hour, I was like, okay, I can get used to this.
It'll be fine. You won't notice by the end of it.
One day I'll start playing video games again.
Poor Mal. I'm going to, I think...
Just haven't felt like it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to finish my playthrough of my second playthrough of FF15 now. Is what I'm
the greatest game ever known to mankind.
Exactly, and now it's even greater because we have all these updates. All
Have
these
any of
updates,
us played the
Meta. Did you know you can
multiplayer
play as Prompto and Gladiolus now?
I would not play as Prompto.
I
I
wouldn't
do
either.
not like his gameplay.
Can I? Has
Iggy?
any of us played the multiplayer?
Yeah, I played the multiplayer.
I haven't played it yet. We need to do that.
We do need to do that.
It's got more story stuff.
Yeah, I have the season
really?
pass. So
Yeah, it
How
kind of
what was-
explains stuff happening during the 10 years.
What was your your brief thoughts?
Well, I played before they updated it the first time, so I mean, but it's like it's something you'd want to play with people really, because it's just fighting things basically, and then like going back to base,
it's like
doing
doing
some
hunts,
stuff,
basically, right?
and then going down to fight again.
That is very oddly Monster Hunter-ish.
Yeah, kinda.
Just less intuitive combat.
It is.
Well, yeah, just with Final Fantasy or 15 combat.
Yeah.
But I thought they were done adding story stuff, and then they came out with this Royal Edition, which adds more stuff to the last chapter or whatever.
Oh my god, seriously?
And then we're gonna get our glorious Lord and Savior Arden Azunia will come down and show us a lot in a DLC where we get to play as him.
Yeah.
And backstab all the peoples and twirl our mustaches.
I wonder if it'll be like far in the past, or if like just right before the game starts, or what he's doing during the game.
Yeah, I would like it in the past because it implies that he's the guy on the front of that book.
Right.
That gets his because Shiva's there and Bahamut's on the front of the book. And it talks about how he was like the first king who had the power that Noctis has or whatever to like heal people and save the world or whatever, but he strayed from the path. It was something like that. I don't remember all my Final Fantasy 15 lore. That's why I'm going back and replaying the game. So I got to experience that magic again, man.
To be fair, it's really hard to like get all the lore because half of the game doesn't exist.
Hey, it all exists now. Year and a half after it came out. I will not have you badmouth the greatest gaming experience of my adult life.
Of the PlayStation
Persona 5.
I was gonna say, like, you forgot Persona 5. What happened to that?
Oh my god. All right, well, let's get on to topics here. We got some pretty big news that I didn't even know about till I woke up to it this morning that Mao's going to start us off with here. So why don't you go on ahead?
Well, a few days ago, Paizo finally announced that they are doing Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Which is huge.
It is.
Yes.
Holy
and
why haven't I seen anyone talking about this on Twitter?
I don't know.
It's so weird too. I just thought the same thing. I haven't seen like anybody talk about it. I didn't even know. They didn't even put like I haven't seen anything on like feeds of it. It doesn't show up on like Reddit at all.
Not on Kotaku. I didn't see it on there.
Yeah, it didn't show up like in anything. I'm like, this is
I
actually.
don't remember how I found it.
A buddy of mine actually linked it in one of my other my Discord channel. Like they just happened to link it because they just saw it on their feed on Facebook because they have Paizo as one of the feeds that they follow.
I think I don't even know how I found it, but I did. Luckily, now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Right, and they said the why was because they started in 2008. And so they've been doing this for nearly a decade, and when it finally comes out next year, it'll be 10 years of Pathfinder.
Yep,
it's a nice round number.
Yeah,
it's a good number. It's a lot of time. I mean, anybody who's played these games long enough knows that like it was bound to. You're eventually just going to get a new edition.
4th edition L5R has almost been out for 10 years. I think it was like 2009 or 2010.
It's the perfectly imperfect edition.
They felt they had things they could improve upon, such as like archetypes as their go-to example, which weren't introduced until Advanced Player's Guide a full year after the core book.
Yep.
And they generally assume everyone uses them, yet they appear nowhere in the core book. So stuff like that. Let's see. They've announced like a bunch of little like there's on their Paizo.com /Pathfinder playtest, they've got like a bunch of changes, but they're kind of some of them are smaller than other, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. The playtest actually, people will be able to download it for free August 2nd. And then you can buy this is a little weird, like you can buy physical playtest books at Gen Con.
I always thought I thought that was really weird too, because like I said, I was looking over to Lily and I was like, do you want to get a copy? And because I was like, but like I don't understand why they're offering like hardcover and they have a special edition hardcover for this. I'm like, it's a playtest book. It's not even the actual final
Right.
product. Why would you spend that kind
I
of
mean,
money
they're
on
coming
that?
out with an actual adventure and a map pack.
All for the playtest.
Right.
The map pack will like save you though like forever because it's just
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
a
It's,
square grid. So that's fine, whatever. But like I'm just blown away by the fact that they would make these extra editions for a playtest.
so they didn't say like it's releasing when second edition will actually release, but they said that they have Pathfinder 1 content all the way up until August of 2019, and with that being Gen Con, I think we can all assume
safe,
that
yeah.
that is when it will actually release, is
They're
Gen
gonna
Con 2019.
absolutely.
So this will give people a year, like I mean, if people want to adopt it for their play group, like I guess having a physical book will be nice.
I mean, you can also if you also want to now, you can also look at the Unchained
Yeah,
edition because it actually has a rule system that uses almost something
I think they've taken a couple things from it, honestly. Like so,
I mean, honestly, it's probably just a more like for the actual playtest beta version, probably just gonna be just a more polished
Yeah.
version, and that is with spells
Oh.
and actions designed around that action system,
Right.
as
Yeah.
I
opposed
do wonder.
to one being converted backward.
I do wonder how much will change. Like if they're putting
I don't
out
know.
a physical copy, like I wonder how much they're actually going to change, or at least tell you what they're changing.
Hopefully, they wouldn't be charging like a full book price for it either,
Oh,
no,
they
I would
are.
hope no.
like
Oh, they
$20
are? Have they,
or something.
have they
maybe.
dropped the price for it already?
I thought I saw a price.
I didn't see any prices yet. I mean, they don't have one on their main page.
Let's see.
At least when I checked. So I
Yeah,
mean,
sorry. Pre-order form. Soft cover $30, hardcover
Holy shit.
$45.
holy shit!
Fuck.
Deluxe version $60.
What?
What?
Which the
Why?
deluxe version is faux leather.
Get your deluxe version. This is the Final
the beta
Fantasy
playtest.
15 of role-playing games. Let me tell you.
Right.
Pathfinder 2e, I don't want to hear anyone talking crap about it. Carry on.
It was
the best. So as Meta was sort of going towards the biggest thing, and which is the first thing they did a blog post on yesterday, which would have been Wednesday, March the 7th,
Yep.
is that they're changing the action economy and how actions work. So
Yeah, I'm
they're
trying
getting
to
rid
read
of
through this
all
now.
like the 7 types of actions that there are.
Which I think is good. I don't like all the different action types personally.
Yeah, everything is now an action, and you get 3 actions. And then the caveat being that there will be some amount of things that don't take an action, like dropping or talking, like which were free actions before. And then also some things will take like 2 actions. Like spells by default will take 2 actions to accomplish, whereas an attack is still just 1 action.
Or it can do magic missiles, and it does different stuff depending on how many actions you use, which I think is cool.
Yeah, so I assume, and then like Scorching Ray is probably the same, which they actually in Starfinder, they kind of have that with the magic missile, where it does like 1 missile unless you take your whole turn, and it does 3 missiles.
Which I actually kind of like that in a way.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
it makes it more strategic, like the
Yeah.
choices you can make and stuff. It's not just I move, I cast magic missiles. It's like, do I want to stand still and I'll get more bang for my buck, or is it worth moving here?
Right.
Those are I like more interesting kind of strategic choices like that.
I like a little bit of variety in my variety. If you
Yes. So now you don't so for new players, they don't have to learn all the 7 types of actions.
yeah.
Now,
that was
opening a
actually
door, drawing a weapon, reloading a crossbow, moving up to your speed, raising your shield, taking a guarded step, or swinging your great axe, all 1 action.
all of that in 1 action. Wow, this
This
game's
is
really kind of you.
So and also you get 1 reaction, which all characters get 1 reaction when the conditions are right, and not everyone will have a reaction they can use during combat, which kind of means that everyone might not be able to take an attack of opportunity, it seems.
Yeah, that was something that was really.
Some people are like, on, but I think in first edition of D&D, I think everyone still could, but like Wizards had could do almost nothing with their attack of opportunity or something like that.
I think one of the they actually stated was that the characters will actually have different options with the reaction. Like depending on your class, it will actually define like what you can do with your reaction,
Which is also cool in my opinion.
Like, let's say you're playing a paladin with a shield, and you have spent an action to defend yourself with that shield. Not only does this boost your armor class, it also lets you take a special reaction if you are hit by an attack. This shield block reduces the damage taken up to the amount of your shield's hardness. And just some people were like, oh, so shields are useless unless you take an action, and people were like, that's stupid. But actually, it's been revealed that you still get the armor bonus from a shield. This just does more on top of that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It makes you feel more like a tank.
Right. It does. The other thing I actually like was the fact that like your shield has a hardness rating that actually reduces the damage if you ready that shield and defend with it. It also reduces the damage you just take in general. That is really cool. I always thought it was really weird that your shield just made it harder to hit. But this can be like, oh, even if they do hit you, you had your shield, so like you kind of helped, deflect the blow a little bit and reduce the damage. It makes it worthwhile to really pick up the shield. Which I almost never see in any game.
Yes.
I almost never seen that.
Monsters will also have their own kind of reactions, like an earth elemental, for example, can spend its reaction to, after being hit, to crumble into a pile of rocks, auto-burrowing into the ground.
Yeah, that makes monsters more interesting, too.
Right. So yeah, I like the new action system.
Yeah, it seems really cool.
Yeah.
It just, someone who plays like Gishes, being able to possibly use a buff and still get off an attack or something in a turn seems neat.
The only thing I'm kind of wondering is, does this mean that melee classes are going to actually have reduced attack actions?
Yeah,
especially those that are pure.
So things like if they use from Unchained had a thing for two hands and like Fury of Blows, which was you get to attack twice on your first attack action. So they could end up doing something like that.
That might be it.
Also, they said that they are really one of their goals is definitely making the gap between spellcasters and marshals smaller, right? Like,
yeah,
that's something everyone always talks about.
It's needed. I mean, it's to be honest, like the age and day of the spellcaster starting really weak at the beginning and then being a god among mortal men at the end is just not fun, because you end up finding
also just not what happens. Like
it's not.
Since 3rd edition, like you can use sleep at level 1 and just in combats.
Yeah, so it's not even like it matters.
Right. But yeah, so they said that they're redesigning spells to ensure that they are of the right power when first acquired, but will diminish in utility over time, giving spellcasters the tools they need to contribute while giving other characters a chance to shine with their abilities.
See, I gotta ask like what that means though, because they say like they're the right power when you get them, but they lose utility as you go on.
Right.
But
I mean,
how does that?
It might be something like in 5th edition to where they don't scale natively to damage.
I see what you're saying. So you'd have to cast it like on a higher level,
right? Yeah. Or something like that.
Awesome.
Also, they're going to attempt to give martial characters more versatility and power, whatever that means. I mean, like stuff like just being able, like martial characters naturally being better at like the combat maneuvers, which they kind of tried, but then really didn't work out well. But like stuff like you can always do it, but it's not going to be as powerful as a spell. Like you can always just grab some dirt and throw it in their eyes.
Yeah.
But
they're
which is like the dirty trick in Pathfinder. But you still would like need a feat and stuff to like specialize in it. So
they're also getting rid of CMB and CMD action.
Yeah. And
which I know like that's always had kind of mixed views on it, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious to see how all that'll work.
I think they're replacing it with just like pure acrobat.
Right. They also want to like I guess consolidate some of the where all the stats come from and stuff.
Yeah.
Like let's see what they say. All of the varied systems and formulas for determining your character's bonuses and statistics, like saving throws, attack bonuses, and skills, have been unified into a single, easy-to-use proficiency system based on your choices and your character's level.
See, I'm a little worried about that. I actually kind of enjoyed having a lot of systems, but I know that might be just me, the minority.
Yeah, I think there still will be plenty. I don't know.
I have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, it's the.
I mean, yeah,
there's a lot to
obviously
wait and see. Obviously,
I just,
but
it's like you can only go off so much by what they say on there. It's like it's preemptive thoughts, and like it's just like the same thing we said for like when we did the L5R beta. Like we'll wait and see to really know before we do anything about it. But this is the initial thought.
yeah,
They're going to be previewing classes and stuff. I'm sure, aren't they?
I'm sure over time, leading
yeah.
up to Gen Con.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's going to be all the core classes and the Alchemist because that's their favorite class.
The Alchemist is being added to the core.
Yes, which I like. I mean, I like the Alchemist. I don't really mind what's in core. I really like the Alchemist. They also said that all the races, which you will now be called your ancestries when you go through character creation. They're adding the Goblin to the core book, which because they love their goblins, but that's something I'm not huge on.
I think it was the Goblin module actually did really well. I could be completely wrong, but
they like it's obvious Paizo loves goblins because of all the goblin stuff they do.
Oh,
yeah, it's all over everything.
Their
like,
own bias aside,
they like even came out with like their own like special little figures or like blind boxes for goblin characters and stuff.
That's adorable.
Yeah, and all their free, like all their like free modules and stuff were goblin, or they had a few goblin based ones. But I just don't care for it in core because usually people's default for goblins is kill it on sight.
Yeah, that would be definitely a thing.
And they said they're going to integrate lore more into the core, the rule book. So I'm curious to see what but they said it wouldn't really like the Galarian lore stuff wouldn't be changing. So I'm curious to see how they reconcile that with goblin player characters.
I'm a little like one of the things I do really enjoy about Pathfinder though is like how it's very detached from the lore.
Mm-hmm.
You can just they're very like whenever they create a city or setting, you can read it up. It tells you what that city is, what it's about, and then that's really it. It gives maybe a little bit of brief history on just like how it kind of got to the city it was today, but it's always very detached from things. So it really just gives you a setting and a place and people, and you can decide what to do with that as how you see fit. Whereas like L5R, it's like, okay, this city was like this is how it came to be. It was affected by the Shadow Dragon at this point, and then some Ronins fought over it. It's like that kind of.
The core book doesn't really have a lot of that in it, but I mean, they have lots of stuff on their locations. Like they have a lot of companion stuff on it.
Right, but you have to actually buy all those companions and whatnot. Right. But the major rule books that in and of themselves don't do that. So unless you go out of your way to buy the campaign or the setting companion books, which you really don't need unless you really want to learn about the lore and go into and expand the game beyond the rule books. That's what I liked.
I assume it's going to be like Starfinder, and I didn't have an issue with how that was integrated in.
No, Starfinder was fun too. So if it's like Starfinder, it should be fun.
Yeah,
at least for me anyway.
For the most part, like the Pathfinder core book is all really light. Which I mean, I guess 3.5 was too. Like it was technically in Greyhawk, or I think it was for 3.5. I
think it was Greyhawk.
But you wouldn't really know it.
No. I mean, there was also, like you say Greyhawk, but there was also like Magic of Faerun.
Yeah, I'm saying the core setting. The core.
Oh, okay, the core setting
was Greyhawk or whatever for 3.5.
Greyhawk.
Now in 5th edition, it's now Faerun.
Is it Faerun now for 5th?
Yep, for core. Yeah, the default core is.
Did Eberron like ever really take off, or did they just kind of set aside?
Eberron was like was really popular in 3.5. It was like a fan thing, I think, that got official or something. I can't remember, but they haven't made anything for it really or for much in 5th edition. They had some like Unearthed Arcana stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're like I don't think it's going to end up being a lot like 5th edition. I think they might simplify it a bit similar to 5th edition, but also the amount of content they pump out, I don't think will. I think it's going to end up being a lot different from 5th edition in that regard. I know one of the biggest complaints that I've seen people who love Pathfinder and don't like 5th edition is a lot of the classes end up, or a lot of the classes, as in like the rogues, all kind of look the same. Not like all the characters look the same, like in fourth
Yeah.
edition problem.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, they kind of end up being the same thing. I don't like I like archetypes, I really do, and I think fifth edition does a wonderful job of like simplifying stuff. It does, but once you pick rogue and once you pick that kind of route you go, you're really just a rogue that's also assassin-ish. You're a rogue that's also thiefy-ish. It's never like this is a full-on thief. You are about stealing shit, and here are archetypes to make you better in certain areas about it.
Yeah. Whereas, Pathfinder is also adding backgrounds, which I think are going to have, which made it sound like
5e backgrounds a little bit.
Well, not exactly, because it also sounds like it's going to affect your starting scores, your like stats. That will not that.
So probably more like Starfinder then, I guess.
Right. But they also said it won't be exactly like that. But we haven't seen it yet.
I'm interested why they call it Ancestry, because it still sounds like, and I mean, there's even one of the articles I was reading, I was like, it even states from Paizo, it's like it's just choosing your race. So
yeah, I don't know.
Term. No, it's nitpicky, but I don't understand that.
Some other like bullet points were 10th level spells and 4 spell lists. Which is I don't know what they mean by 4 spell lists, as in like.
I think that was just for the beta they're going to show.
Well, yeah, this is for the playtest, so this will be the core. So I don't know if that means like Divine 10th level, Arcane 10th level, and then like Divine half and Arcane half or whatever casters like that, or probably not.
Are druids considered Divine or Arcane?
Yes. What it'll actually probably be is Nature, which was Ranger and Druid, and then Ranger will only get up to certain spell levels. Yeah. And then the other kind of Divine, which is like Clerics and Paladins, and then the Arcane casters and Bard it's the 4th probably, or Alchemist.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, either Alchemist will have its own, or Bard will have its own. Sure.
There was Infusion, like if you were to think about it like in that regard, it'd be Infusions, which would be Alchemist style, Nature, Divine, Arcane.
Right. It might be that, or Bards might get their own.
Bards might get their own.
Bards have their own already in Pathfinder, and or do Alchemists have their own? Yeah, I guess they do too.
They do.
It's like it's like a weird wizard sort of thing.
It plays by like the style of Arcane, what it does, but it is its own list. Like it has its own spells.
Archetypes and multi-classing will be in it by default. I assume prestige classes will not show up in any regards. They never really cared for them.
No.
Classic monsters and magic, combat maneuvers that rock, easier to play, Galarian infused. Oh yeah, the innovative initiative system. My guess from what I've seen is that they're getting rid of Dex for initiative, which is probably needed because I think Dex just outshines Strength in all regards. This is so. I think the default seems to be Persuasion, or not Persuasion, Perception.
Let me go first.
Let me go. Persuade the DM to go first.
Perception is already considered the best skill, so I would hope everyone just is automatically proficient in it. If it is, since it's the default. But if you're like stealthing already, like you would use stealth for your initiative, your stealth skill.
Turns out the ability to see and hear is really good.
Right. And it makes sense that all adventurers should probably have some level of understanding about your paying attention to your environment.
No, I will forever dump Wiz and never have any ranks in Perception.
You joke, but I play.
You will go last.
It's all my characters never.
Don't worry,
Perception or Wiz.
Improved initiative will solve all your problems.
Well, you say that. From what they've said, it seems like classes are getting their feats are restricted to classes.
Yeah.
Which could mean that it's a system sort of like what is it? What is rogue talents? Where basically everyone has their own rogue talents, sort of.
Are we talent trees now from World of Warcraft?
Or if it'll be like a mix maybe with older feats like improved initiative, and there's some crossover. I'm curious to see which one it is.
I'm wondering if there's going to be like a general core set of feats that anybody can take, but then there's feats that are like, oh, you need to be this class to take.
Right. Um, New background system, production values. Oh yeah, they're spending a lot of money on it compared to the core book. They're spending more on art, which is all Wayne Reynolds, who does Pathfinder art basically.
Yep, that's his life now.
Well, he also does Magic cards.
No, it's all Pathfinder now.
But they're spending more on paying him for art, I guess, or like the art budget is more than the original budget for the whole core book from Pathfinder 1.
Holy shit.
But that's because they already owned all of the art before they made the core book. They had already owned all that art because they were originally a third-party D&D company.
Yish.
Rebalance magic items. That's the other thing they talk about when they talked about the proficiency bonus, which I let's see, what was it? You no longer need to collect specific sets of magic items to be a balanced character, relying on specific magical statistics bonuses. Instead, you will get all your bonuses you need from regular armor and weapons, allowing the rest of your items to be truly wondrous. And I think this is going to work out similar to another system that is already in the Unchained book.
Which is?
Basically your core, like the +1 or 2 or whatever weapons and armor, the resistance items, and then like the deflection rings are all built into your leveling up.
Really?
In the Unchained version, so that all of your magic items get to have unique abilities, and you don't have to worry about the stats part of them, which I really like because I love having weird like items.
I don't know, like it's ever been an issue for. I guess it's never something that's like come up as an issue for me because generally I'm just used to having like one item that you kind of have a magic bonus you want. But generally, every game I've played, we've always had like awesome or like interesting, cool items. But I mean, it would be really neat to have.
Yeah, but the game is kind of built on the premise that you will end up getting a +1 sword, +1 armor, that the resistance cloak, the ring of deflection. Like they're all kind of needed. You can't have a character with none of those, and without probably hurting yourself a bit.
Joke's on you.
So I actually like that system because I like being able, like, because whenever I make a character, if it's like a 5th level character, almost all my money goes to those items, and I don't get to buy any different items.
Really? We've had very different experiences then. But I mean, for the part of Magic, I am glad that they're going to be doing like stuff. They want to focus more on like letting your Magic items do some really cool like versatility style things. Because I always like the idea of having a Magic item that does something interesting over just giving a stat bonus in general.
Right. Because you have to have to get a weapon that does anything interesting, you first have to have at least a +1 on it.
Yeah, which
was the variant in the Unchained, that is not the case.
Yeah, so it allows you just weapon. I mean, like I've always loved the some of my favorite items are actually just going through like the pre-made weapons because they do really interesting things with them. They always have like cool powers on them and whatnot.
Right.
They're fun, so it's always cool to see like what's attached to them. A focus on that is always a good thing. But I'm not worried. I wonder what they mean by like rebalancing it because technically it's a different system, so there's nothing to rebalance. It's being balanced around a new idea. So I don't know if that means that they're going to go back and like want to take some of the older things and remodify them for this, or if they just mean that like they just want to utilize it system.
I think they just mean that you're not going to have to worry about buying +1 swords. Basically, okay. They'll just have other abilities already instead of the statistical stuff. I mean, it might be just that swords have like a +1. I mean, I guess without being magical.
I've read that they already stated that there's quality is going to affect. You can have common quality, which adds nothing. You can have like fine quality, which is going to have +1.
Yeah, so then it'll be that instead.
But that would still mean that you technically would want to buy like a fine quality, a good quality, epic quality. So
it's just not going to be magic, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be magical to do it, but I guess it kind of just ends up being the same issue then, where you still want to make sure your weapon is giving like a fine quality. You're not losing bonuses.
That's why I like the Unchained version where it's just built into your leveling up.
I gotta read that book more.
So Alchemist class, Goblin, storytelling. Yeah, that's most of the bullet points, the big ones. There was a what is it? Glass
Glass
Cannon
Cannon, yeah.
podcast
Glass
did,
Cannon podcast.
which is the official Paizo. Like, it's not done by Paizo, but Paizo is like sponsors them basically as the official Pathfinder podcast, and they did a playthrough of it.
Yep. They actually were converting a first edition Pathfinder campaign
The
on
first
the fly.
module
The first one. Yep.
from
And they were
Pathfinder.
doing it on the fly.
Right. So yes, it looks like it shall be easy enough to convert stuff you already have. I mean, you might not be able to do it on the fly like this GM, but you could at least
You
probably end up converting what you've already bought for original Pathfinder, which is pretty nice.
They also made mention, and again, just some of the articles they put out for it, which is like only 2 or 3 now, I think. But they also made mention that they kind of have wanted to cut into like what's considered to be 3 different phases for the game. You have your combat phase, which is the general combat of the game. It's like where everything's happening in seconds and stuff. You have exploration phase, which is essentially where you are exploring through dungeons. It's usually done in like minutes to hours of time. That's generally what's considered to be the exploration phase of things. And you have what's called the travel phase, which is essentially done in like days or weeks of time. And they purposely wanted to kind of give a more central focus to splitting these items apart, so that they could have things that can affect those areas more directly. So like if you're like in the exploration phase, you might have a bonus that says while you're in the exploration phase and you're looking for blah blah blah, you'll have these powers that can be utilized and whatnot. And then there was also things they would say like traveling was another big one they wanted to work on as well, because it's like when you're traveling, there isn't generally a lot to do, but say like 3 days pass by, or you have to wait 4 days. So they wanted players to be like, well, we want to give you stuff to do in your downtime. Crafting is generally one, but that can only be usually normally done by spellcasters. And you can do your profession to earn some money on the side, they said, but they want to do more with it as well. So like if you're traveling, you might be able to forge stuff better. You might be able to pick up some random items and whatnot. If you're in a town or a city and you're just waiting there for a while, you might have some cool stuff that can go on, or encounters or things that might affect you in the later days after your travel period is over. So I do know that they want to kind of specify that. I think I've seen that in another game before, and I don't know, not exactly the same.
Yeah,
but,
I know. I think, was it 5th or maybe even 4th that ended up with the pillars idea of like social combat and exploration?
It might have. I don't remember, but I do know it didn't fully work out all that well.
Yeah, it didn't have like things that specifically targeted them. It's just more of an idea that they built upon.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to be like, if that's what they're going to try to aim for here or whatnot.
To see what they do with it.
But I would like, the biggest thing I would honestly just like to see do is like more stuff for downtime, because there is just points in a game where you are traveling and there is nothing to do. And if you have a good roleplay group, you can get into a game where you'll roleplay like some of the nights that you just sit out among the stars, or if you've happened to come across a caravan or something, you might chill out over a campfire. Those moments are great for a role-playing group, but if you're playing more of a group that just likes to like punch things in the face and move on to the next thing, that there's not a lot to do during that time. There's just like, okay, 3 days pass, and that means nothing. It's just like, okay, time's irrelevant, when it should have a little bit more of effect. But I mean, I could be wrong on that. Some might say otherwise, but it's cool to know that there is like at least an idea that we want people to have things to do. So like when your downtime is downtime, you have 3 days past. It doesn't mean that you just have 3 days go by. It means stuff can happen, and that can be beneficial or potentially detrimental to your character. But it is something that's happening that can affect. So trying to think of what else I saw, but I mean,
like I saw like some people have already like compiled like from the podcast and whatnot some like some of the examples of changes, but they're all like lay on hands does so many d4s now or something.
there was I believe they stated you can choose when you're casting, like a cleric can now choose between using 1 action to just immediately cast a spell as a touch spell, 2 actions to cast it as a ranged, or they can spend 3 actions and immediately just heal everybody within a certain area of them. So I think there was something like that.
Yeah, there's quite a few little things that we probably don't want to go over all of them.
Yeah.
Fighters have lots of reactions.
Yep.
Flanking's the same.
Yep.
Um,
There
you
was a
can
lot
crit
of.
on skill checks.
I think the only thing that I thought was really interesting that I do want to bring up is apparently, at least during the podcast, they had a point where apparently if you do 10 damage over, or not 10 damage, if you beat in a creature's AC by 10 or more, you deal double damage to it. It's effectively a crit system now, where instead of rolling a natural 20, if you just go really high over its AC, then you can get double damage.
That must mean what it means here, because for critting on skill checks, because there's also fumble. Like if you get 10 under acrobatics check, you might sprain your ankle or something like that.
Oh. Then there might be like what we call critical success, or
Yeah, and then critical fumble or failure or whatever.
Yep, whatever you want to call it.
Raises in my Pathfinder.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing it in full. August 2nd.
Yep.
Maybe we can run through there, because they're gonna have the Doomsday Dawn adventure thing, which is 7 multi-encounter scenarios. So, and that'll be free to download as well. So maybe we can run through it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be there to get potentially actually pick up a copy.
Well, I meant for like monthly modules.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I know what you meant.
Oh, you're gonna buy it in physical?
I might actually buy the soft cover physical, not hardcover, the deluxe.
Right.
I'm not gonna spend that kind of money for it, but
You don't want the
I
season
do like
pass.
having a physical copy of something. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Be able to look at it.
All right.
I'll know what happens.
All right, what you got, Meta?
Okay, so it's not Pathfinder, which is great and awesome, but it is something different. I actually want to talk about canon versus AU, and I kind of actually made mention about this when we were talking about Pathfinder, but there are some games that are kind of ingrained in their lore, and their lore can affect it just as much as I guess as a game with somebody who's like DM'd one, brought up like and made their own world and whatnot. So it really can define like how players might react within that world. I mean, the biggest example I can give is like L5R, is the storylines, the lore, the history of the game have a huge impact when you're playing a game now. I mean, so the point where you actually will tend to play games at certain points of timeline, which can affect them. But there are times where that can also be a problem. And you end up having like a game where you'll want to run a game with really experienced players, but they end up knowing everything. So I was wondering if you guys have ever played a game and have decided, instead of playing the game as you know it, instead of playing what everybody knows, what everybody has already understood about the lore of that game or the storylines before it, have you ever jumped to AU, an alternate universe, played the game where it's like, now I can change anything I want, say it's an alternate universe, and run it off as like that? And what was your experience with that? And did you think it was better or worse than what potentially was in the canon world from the start?
I'll let Mal go first.
I mean, most of like the D&D games I've played have been in home settings. Like almost, I don't think I've ever really played a canon setting. Outside of like, I guess the modules we've run.
I know.
Yeah, it's
I
just
know
not canon's not my default, I guess.
I know, like generally when I play like a Pathfinder D&D game, because the worlds are because not only are the like the classes and whatnot so very like neutral in their terms, so that
Right.
they're friendly like regardless of the world that you put them into. It's easier for that. But then like you get into games like I mean, I'm just gonna jump back to the power. It's the easiest one to really utilize. I'm gonna pick on. You get into games like L5R, and to pull it into an AU is not as easy, because a lot of what makes those classes and what makes the families and what makes the lore is the fact of what's gone on with the storyline.
I guess, but they also have books for about AUs.
That is true too. They do have like AU
Plus,
settings.
I mean, the obvious thing is that we all met in an AU.
That
Yes,
is actually
I've created
that
an
is the
AU for Elva,
Yes.
so
I
I have interesting opinions on this.
in general, I think I think a DM is able to at any point, and the players, I mean, should probably understand that he could change whatever. Maybe this troll does not regenerate or lose its regeneration if it gets hit by fire for some reason, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, you eventually, yeah, after you play a setting enough, you can kind of metagame it without even instinctively thinking about it. Like, because that's a common thing in like our D&D games. Whenever like a troll would come around, we'd all make sure to do fire and acid, but without necessarily even thinking if our characters would have known about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just something that happened on reflex.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is like when you get into a canon game, there's just a point where players start to pour their knowledge into the character, and it's not like out of maliciousness or anything.
Right.
It's just that they've seen it so many times, or it's come up so often, or they've been with the game for so long that they just instinctively know what to do.
Yeah, that's why I always ask for skill checks whenever that kind of stuff comes up. It's like, hey, can I make I know out of character this thing's weakness, can I make like a skill check to see if my character knows it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, but I just think a GM should be able to change that without like with whatever, like even like, which I guess is almost like creating a minor AU in the moment, or maybe it's just a weird
mutation,
abomination, or version of whatever you're fighting. In that regards,
people don't be giving your GMs crap over that stuff too.
Right.
Exactly. You made a game and a bunch of bastards.
Yeah. It's I've seen like there's points where, and it's like there are some players who are good about it. You'll get like the moment where you know, like as you said, Mao, they'll not Mao, Obs, where they'll say like it's okay if I try to learn about it. But even then, like even if they can't expose a weakness, they might not perform an action. Like the Tarask is a perfect example of a creature that many people are familiar with, even though they've never really faced it. Where it's like, you know, okay, I probably shouldn't throw a spell at it because it turns out it has spell reflection and shit on it, and I won't do that. But your character wouldn't know that, so your character's default will be like, oh shit, giant creature, cast a spell at it. But you as a player may not. So even if you don't need to look up what it's not weak to, you might instinctively know that's not an option.
I'd totally be that guy who casts a spell at it.
I would too.
Fireball time, boys. No, what are you doing? You know this thing. My character doesn't. I've never seen one of these.
5th edition Tarask is also a thing where like GMs should be allowed to do what they want, because technically, by the rules, it has no ranged attack.
Yeah.
So people are like, and like, so if I can move slightly faster than it and just shoot a bow and arrow at it for 8 hours, I can kill it with at level 1 or whatever.
I would love to see somebody do that.
Right. It's like, well, the GM should just be allowed to just grab a giant thing of earth and chuck it at that person. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason it can't just because it's not in its stat block.
No, I absolutely agree. So, I mean, those are always minor iterations on a creature, and it may not even be so much an AU at that point, but it is doing exactly what that it is that it is changing it from what it is canonized source of to giving it something new or different, so that players have something fresh and new to look at, or be like, oh shit, we don't actually know everything it can do.
Plus, I mean, in like tabletop RPGs, there's no way, like, we're at 10 years of Pathfinder, and you can't like mention every little thing, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just you can't. You're limited by book space or whatever layout space, and you can't get everything you might want to include in a creature stat line or something.
Yeah,
or
that's
the
true
city
too.
Stat line, or what else? I was going to say something. I left my brain.
Class stat line?
No, I forgot what I was going to say. Also, yeah.
You lost it, man.
Yep.
What? Let's hear from you though, Obs. Let's hear from you, because you have done a lot of AU stuff.
Yeah, I have.
The rest of us.
I mean, there's always the D&D. It seems like every game's AU. I don't think I've ever played in like a specific. No, I take it back. I have played. Well, I barely count this. I mean, it's not an actual canon setting for D&D, but it was Middle Earth. I played a D&D game in Middle Earth. That was only like a few sessions, but that's not an actual D&D setting. But I've never played it in any of like the base D&D settings. I guess the kind of like love for AU, particularly in L5R, has the first L5R game I ever played, which was really the game that got me into role playing in the first place, was a canon first edition L5R game where it was clan war. Here's like your base setting, and my GM who runs it, the other GM who runs L5R other than me, every time he does a game, we move on to the next era of the AEG like stat block. So the next game we played was the War Against the Lying Darkness, the War of the Shadow. But the setting had changed so much based on what our characters had done in the first game. So we established an AU. So in that game, Daigotsu ended up becoming a bigger player first. When Totori became a shadow spawn and went all woo and went off, Daigotsu basically was like, well, that lasted pretty well for all of 5 years. I'm the Hante. Here I am. And became the Emperor. And now we're talking about playing a game after that that'll be set in the War of the Spirits in the Four Winds saga.
Holy shit.
And it's all based on our characters, because some of our characters in the first game and some of the other, and we play like side games that were also in the clan war, there would always be one person that got infected by the shadow or something. In my first game, it was Reiji, who's my first L5R character, got shadow tainted. So in the shadow game, he was one of the villains. And there was always a PC or somebody that was shadow tainted at every game. And there was basically like a party of shadow villains that was moving against us in the shadow game. So we had this whole AU thing. So, I mean, I kind of always had a love for AU Rokugan, because I haven't played in base Rokugan a lot other than Winter Court games for the most part. So, yeah, you probably heard us talk about this on the podcast a few times, but we all met playing a game called Rokugan High School, which is a basically modern take on L5R with that borrows heavily from the lore of towards the end of the AG era. So some of the clan champions and stuff from there around. But we're in our fourth one now. We played like basically 5 games in the universe. The setting is reset a few times, so whatever, but I'm not going to give you like a deep rundown of the lore of RHS.
As far as it matters for it, it's been about effectively 4 games. Regarding it, so
4 games of like lore that has been established. So, it's just kind of coming up with new stuff and affecting the setting has always been a kind of thing, and 4th edition has always been about L5R your way. So, I kind of like doing AU stuff, especially as a GM, because you don't. I mean, in a lot of ways, any game you kind of run is going to take on a lore of its own, and like kind of what Mao was saying, become AU on its own merits, but that doesn't necessarily feel constrained to follow the plot beats or what have you. So I can take like leading up into Onyx edition of L5R before AEG sold the game and run a Third Day of Thunder game out of it, or what have you, and then have the events of that game affect the game we're playing now. And Meta's been helping me GM this. Meta and Tets have been helping me GM this game. Probably something they've seen a lot, conflict-wise, based on stuff that happens in the lore with the players, is how the setting has changed based on the past games and what players new to the modern Rokugan setting that we've been running don't know about that have happened in the past. So that's always where it comes interesting, especially when you start. This game branches off this game, this one branches off this, and this and this. And if you don't have like a established AU lore, I guess it can get kind of difficult for some newer players. But that's my experience, and I generally love running AU stuff, especially for L5R. So
I actually like AUs, and truth be told, I actually enjoy like home games, home world games, and whatnot.
I do too,
because it's. For 2 reasons. The first reason, and this is again, for me, this is just the most prominent one when you look at like L5R, is that if you play a game off of L5R, and like in our instance, we've made RHS, this is a modern version, but it still pulls a lot from essentially past things, or players still pull information from the past game, because as far as they see it, it is just a continuation of a storyline of where AAG sold the game off. So everything in the past is canon. And there was a point I would love to like go back and kind of say, nah, this is an AU, so we're gonna mess things up a bit.
Yeah.
But that's not something that's just been done right now. But I like homeworlds specifically because that means both the GM and the players can enter with the same mindset of this is not a world that you know everything about. Even if you might know a stat block of a creature, the GM can say that is not how it works in this world. But if you like to play, like if you playing Golarion, for Pathfinder, you're setting at least non-verbally. I mean, every game should start off with the GMs and the players sitting down and talking like, this is the kind of game I want to run. This is like generally how I run things. Would you guys be cool with that? And then the players either say yes, no, circle one.
Check yes or no.
Check yes or no. And they check
Maybe.
or.
Yeah. They always check for.
They always check or. So you get that. So you got like when you play in like the modern world, you do kind of whether you can agree with this or not, but you do kind of set the ideas that you are playing in a world that is established. You are playing in a world that does have history. So if a player is supposed to know something about that, they could reasonably look at a book that has something about that area that you might be in to look up that history, which means the GMs and the players have to kind of run off of that history together. Which means that sometimes the GM's constrained a little bit to what has already been pre-established, but the players understand is kind of reality, which means that it can be good and bad. I mean, depending on how you take it is, but it does mean that you are kind of setting this idea is that these things are going to be canon. This world is canon. And that this is the world you're going to, these are the kind of individuals you might see. This is the history of and whatnot. Obviously, obviously without saying it, but I feel like I need to just to cover bases. You can have a GM state like, yes, we're going to use Golarion. Yes, we're going to use the city. Yes, we're going to use this region of land. But beyond that, everything's different. But again, that requires communication between the GMs and the player, which is why I've always liked the AU, because the AU, again, is you just walk in and you mean like home game AU. You're just like, nah.
Nobody knows nothing.
Nobody knows nothing. You can't metagame jack diddly squat by accident or on purpose. You are coming into this game and you just know that you're going to play this class. You could probably do these shenanigans with this class, but you know that I could throw anything at you and you may not know what that exactly means. So that is definitely something I've really enjoyed about the AU. But there is an enjoyment of also playing in a canon world that when you get in there, everybody is kind of on the same footing. You don't have to teach your players everything about the lore. You don't have to. It's a little bit easier in a way on the GM and a little bit harder because now the GM doesn't have to make this write up and give them players like past history information, things that their characters should know about a world that they know nothing of. You don't have to write about religions. You don't have to write about the current like political setting. You don't have to write about like, who are the guards, things that would be generally known about it. You don't have to write about like regions and create up areas and whatnot. Write up
It's
about
a lot easier to just pick up
history.
and play.
Yeah, it is a lot easier to pick up and play on that area, and it gives everybody a baseline to say, you can just literally say, go to this page, read these pages, this is the world, there you go. But as time goes on, that obviously has its ups and downs for some people. Some people may not care. Some people do a mixture of it. Some people it feels very constraining to. But I don't know. For me personally, I'm kind of like on Mao on this one, and in a way with you as well, Obs. Is that I started with homeworlds, and that's how it's always been. It's never been really stuck to a lore of a game that's already there.
Yeah, it's weird to talk to some people who have only played in core stuff. Like a lot of people who play in like they only role play in Adventurers League or Pathfinder
Society,
Pathfinder Society or what have you.
You'll
run across and sometimes play with those people at cons, and you're like, oh wow, they just have a different perspective on stuff.
It's very interesting because like I actually had the opportunity when I was younger to go to something like that where it was full on. It was like Heroes of Rokugan, if you will, where it was like they had canon and lore and they were set up like this. And I don't remember if they were official or not. I honestly never cared enough. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm just going to get to play D and shit. And I was like, that's awesome. But they had a whole setup. They had history and whatnot and characters, and you had to sign up and you would play in essentially a Pathfinder Society style. And that's how you would roll, and that's how we did it for the weekend. But you learned that this world had settings and setups, and you had to kind of learn a little bit about the world before you could just dive in, because they did have things that would affect your character that you might know about or should know about. But it's always it's really interesting to find this kind of people who are like, no, I've only played in a canon setting, or I've only played in like a society, or I've only played in a group that follows off of a very specific thing, and they've never played like at home, at least at home with your buddies over a made up world or whatever. They don't play that way. It's a very interesting experience to have those kind of two individuals come to a table.
Yep, and and like I said, those are the rarer players from my experience. So it's just interesting.
Yeah,
that a lot of people actually, I mean, maybe it's just the people I'm exposed to, but that are playing alternate universe or home world, like homebrew settings for games.
Yeah.
So, and probably a lot of it's just the games you play too.
I think it is too. I mean, it's always going to be different depending on players.
D&D and Pathfinder lend themselves very well to just doing homeworld stuff in homebrew settings.
They do. Like one of the biggest things that, like I said it earlier, but like they have a lot of very friendly, neutral terms. Anytime that you read a book on something, they generally just give you an easy enough history to explain the area, but nothing to set truly any events at home. They might mention some great battle in the past, but beyond that, you're free to kind of do as you feel with it. So they're very friendly in that regard. But yeah, cool.
So AU wins.
wins.
They win the great battle.
They win the great battle between canon and AU.
Yeah, one day when I have the gumption to do it, I'm going to come up with the actual timeline and history for the L5R modern setting.
I already got some ideas on that, so I plan once the game is over.
We'll collab on it.
Yeah, we'll collab.
All right.
Have lunch. We'll talk about it over lunch.
Yeah, we'll get some tea.
Yeah.
we'll bring our notes, compare and contrast. Okay, let's get on to my topic. Yesterday we got some news out of nowhere. It's how it always is. If you've heard any of these other topics that are similar to the one I'm about to start freaking out about, so we got a Nintendo Direct out of nowhere. They always let you know like the day before.
They do.
And it's like freaking Christmas Eve, buddy. I'm sitting at work today. It's busy. I'm like, oh God, 5 o'clock's coming. Oh, it's going to be here. Oh, it's only noon. So all we really knew going into it was that Mario Tennis would be featured. And they rattled off a lot of stuff in half an hour. We got a lot of a lot of ports here. So I'm just going to rattle some stuff off and then just the general news, go down the list, and then I'll talk about the stuff that I'm excited for, I guess. All right, so we got 5 3DS games. I'm just going to list some release dates because that's basically all we got. WarioWare Gold, August 3rd. WarioWare games are like Mario Party-esque kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Party games. But it's on a 3DS, so I don't know how many people are going to play it. Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers, which looks freaking weird and has weird animal amiibo, guys. I don't know. It's May 24th. Not interested in that at all. Bowser's Inside Story remake is coming January 2019. It's the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga games, basically the successor to Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario. RIP, actual good Paper Mario games. Detective Pikachu March 23rd, which looks freaking weird. They don't think they really said anything that we didn't know about that. They talked about it in the Amiibo, basically. Amiibo's big.
Basically announcing it's coming here.
Yeah.
Because it's already out in Japan, I believe.
Luigi's Mansion is getting a remake for 3DS as well, and it will be coming out in 2018. And that was it for the 3DS.
Wait, it's just getting a remake. I always thought that was kind of weird.
I'm surprised they didn't do it for the Switch.
Yeah.
For a remake. Yes.
As I said before, all this shows is that the 3DS should just be put down.
Put it down. But they just
taken out back and euthanized.
They just released the new 2DS, Mal. They can't put it down yet.
Oh my god.
None of this was like, okay. I was just like, I don't care.
I was like, get to the Switch. Luckily, the 3DS part was literally only like 5 minutes.
There were some of the other ones that are going to be on the Switch and 3DS. But
yeah. Which I don't even know. I don't care. Switch. Let's get into that. So we got more Kirby Superstar Allies news, which is coming out in like a week or whatever. They're doing like free DLC update kind of stuff with co-op characters. So You can play as like Bandana, Waddle Dee, King DDD, Meta Knight eventually, and like team up and get like team up moves, like unique team up moves. Okami HD version is coming to Switch. It's already out on PC, I think, and PS4. No, it's out on PS4, I believe.
I want to say they had already even announced it. This is just the release date, right?
This summer. They didn't even give it a specific release date, and I think it's eShop only. Sushi Striker Way of Sushido, which I love the name, but this game does not interest me that much.
I would watch that anime, maybe.
Yes.
Like, based on the cutscenes.
It's got weird Pokemon-looking things. It's got, like, a white guy who's a sushi samurai or something. It comes out June 8th.
Sushi Samurai.
I'm gonna skip a game because this is the one I'm most excited about. We got Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes is coming out this year, so they're doing another No More Heroes games, which is what's the guy's name who does them? The weird dude.
It's not Suda, is it?
Yeah, Suda.
Yeah, it's Suda.
So everyone's
I might get that one.
Yeah, it looks fun.
I love the style of it.
Dark Souls is coming out May 25th. I think we already knew the release date.
I think I need to buy it like a fifth time.
Are you sure, Mao?
No.
I'll end up buying it probably, but you know I'm getting that Praise the Sun amiibo.
Oh yeah,
praise it.
That is the only one I want to get. Praise the Sun.
The Solaire of Astora.
You have to get that amiibo. I'm surprised they made one.
It's
Holy
shit. They are memeing so hard.
Oh, I guess that would have been him as well.
Yep, they are memeing so hard.
Oh, that was absolutely a meme choice. A top tier meme though.
Yeah. So. I was watching it in a Twitch chat and everybody lost their
shit
when that came on. Mario Tennis Aces, which was kind of like the focus of the direct. It got like 10 minutes.
Big thing that they could show off a lot of.
Yeah, so it's a Mario Tennis game. It's gonna have like online tourneys, ranked matches. It's got some special shot shonen anime BS is what I wrote down. Right. Lots of mumbo jumbo.
Zone shots, zone mode, zone speed, zone blocks, or whatever.
Yeah, lots of weird gimmicky stuff.
And then a mode where you don't have any of that.
Yep, which would probably be the best mode. That's coming out June 22nd. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which I think is also a port. It might be new stuff. I don't know. I didn't play Captain Toad.
Well, the new dock was new stuff.
Yeah, they're adding like new levels
they added
and stuff.
Some new levels too.
That's July 13th. Undertale is coming out on Switch. It doesn't have a release date yet. I think everyone saw that coming.
Or something. Yeah, basically.
Everyone also saw the Crash Insane Trilogy coming. It's also coming out on PC and Xbox. July 10th. Little Nightmares is getting a port May 18th, which is a like survival horror indie game. This one surprised me. South Park Fractured But Whole.
Yeah,
coming out April 24th. I didn't see that one coming at all. I need to get around to playing that. And if I play it, I'll honestly probably play it on PS4 because it'll be cheaper there. I think the game's like $40 now. And I missed getting it when it was like $25 on sale over. There's like a big. I think it was like the winter PlayStation sale or something. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is coming out May 18th.
I'm excited.
I know Meta loves him now. Hyrule Warriors.
The one big problem I actually had with Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U was the slowdown. There was some slowdown on stuff, and the lack of units on the screen. But if it's being put on the Switch,
it's a little more powerful.
It's a little bit more powerful, just a tad bit. So I'm hoping it'll remedy some of these problems. Plus, Hyrule Warriors is just fucking fun as hell.
Yeah, and you get all the DLC right off the gate. So.
Right off the bat. The only downside is that unfortunately you will have to play through the game again and unlock everything again. And I don't
want to play through the game again.
Oh, no.
Why would? Yeah.
After
you just
worst.
Bought the game again. Why would I have to play through it?
I don't want to play through the game again. I just want all my data. I want my game and all my data, but on an updated system. Is there a way we could do that with the current technology?
No.
You'll probably get your Breath of the Wild stuff in it too. I bet by then.
Probably.
All right, we're getting Splatoon 2 DLC, which they're calling the Octo expansion. I had no clue what was going on for almost 90% of that trailer.
Dude,
it was a weird music video.
You don't play Splatoon 2.
Was I the only one who felt uncomfortable with that trailer?
I
felt a
felt
little
very uncomfortable.
I was like, I don't know what ride I just got onto.
I was typing into
Splatoon.
Discord, are we Kingdom Hearts now? It's Splatoon.
We Kingdom Hearts and
The
Splatoon.
Tetsuya Nomura directed because there was lots of weird symbolic imagery and
I kid you not, when it started, I was like, are they doing a zombie like edition with Splatoon?
which would be awesome.
I was like, zombie. Like, I'm really interested to see how this is gonna play out. It's a bold move, Cotton, but
Let's see how it plays out.
we'll see how it plays out. Because it waked up in the sun when you get all these like do not cross line and whatnot, and it looks all like derelict, and I'm just like, this
It's very
almost
dark
reminds-
for most of the trailer.
Yeah, it was like, this reminds me so much of like a post-apocalyptic setting. I'm like, I was just waiting for like some zombie to run around a corner or something. But
Squid zombies.
turns out it's just a
would-
single player story.
I would play the hell out of Splatoon if it were like an RPG instead of a shooter, because I love the setting. Like,
The music's
aesthetics
really
and
good.
The music's great.
The music is good, yeah.
I would play it like that, but I just have no interest in
Yeah.
it playing.
It's fun.
Like its gameplay.
I actually have a buddy who plays the game. They play it to like high rank tiers and whatnot.
Now you can get to rank S.
Yep, now they can get the rank. God, X rank. But they enjoy the crap out of the game. They really enjoy it.
Dude, a
but
lot of people love Splatoon.
They really do. Like it's so weird too because you almost see it never being shown up anywhere. But there's a lot of people that really like Splatoon.
They exist on the fringe corners of the internet and love
Turns
to make themselves known.
Yes,
I mean, I like the game.
I have never played it.
Yeah,
But I like. The
I only
fact
play
that
it when
there's
my
color.
buddies are in town.
I enjoy the game for the fact that it's color. I'm a big fan of anything that like puts color into a
Right.
game.
Less
Yeah.
brown.
Yeah, I'm tired of. I grew up during the brown era of gaming, and it lasted too long.
Sons of Patriots or
God,
whatever.
brown everywhere. Like, let's just put some shine on that and brown it up a bit. That really makes it realistic.
And the tag at the end of it, though. But we're not done yet. Wait just a second. They
yes.
showed us some more Splatoon kids like squid kids shooting each other for a little bit. Then it cuts away, pans in to a close up of Splatoon girl, and in her eyes the Smash Brothers logo. New Smash Brothers is confirmed.
Oh, that we knew there was a bait and switch, but it was the bait and switch we wanted.
Yeah, I was like, this can't be happening when I first saw it. I was like, they cannot not be announcing this at E3.
They can't show all the Splatoon stuff and then just
Yeah.
wait, one more other thing and it's just more Splatoon.
Yeah, right.
Which would have been amazing, also.
That would have been
Right.
that would have been the greatest troll, I think, for a Nintendo Direct,
Trolled.
because it would have been like, oh wait, we got one more thing. It just shows like two Splatoon kids, and it just says like new gear, and it's like and then it just done. It would have been like,
We're bringing back Wii Sports Resort with Switch Sports Resort, but this time with Squid Kids.
this I was Squid
You can
Kids.
play
I'd be
with
like,
all your favorite Mario characters.
I'm like, you piece of shit.
Yeah, don't you want to
Got
be
me excited
Bowser
for nothing.
Jr.? Bowl with Bowser Jr.?
Oh, my
You love
God.
Bowser Jr., right? No, I don't. Stop shoving him down my throat. But yeah, we got new Smash Bros. So let the speculation begin. What characters are going to come in? We're not going to speculate a lot here.
Cloud is coming back. That's what we need.
People
We need
love Cloud. I think he'll be back.
You probably.
If not, he'll be DLC character. We knew when they cut off the DLC characters, like after like 6 of them, that they were working on a new Smash Bros. Game.
Bring Cloud Black or make sure Greninja's back in the game, because those are the two characters that I really enjoyed playing.
I play Pikachu and Jigglypuff, and I know they'll be in, so there you go.
Fuck, you're Jigglypuff.
I played it once at a bar and I just went with Corrin and smashed or button smashed.
I like Corrin a lot too. He's just not that good, sadly.
Yeah,
It's the only character I could win with.
It's maybe Mao's secret
need to
power
play
is he's better
Bayonetta.
at the worse the character is.
Just be
Well,
Bayonetta or Diddy.
I only pretty much played Fire Emblem character.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, that's what all I ever played up until Brawl. Pretty much. Well, there's only Melee and Brawl. I like Ike a lot. He's my favorite Fire Emblem character to play, honestly.
I actually used to play Pikachu, the original. I played Pikachu on, and then Melee came out. I played Pikachu a lot, but I really fell in love with Roy, And then
Yeah, I like Roy a lot as well.
Brawl came out, and it was back to playing Pikachu again.
We don't talk about
and-
Brawl here. The auto tripping.
At least until it was back to playing Pikachu. At least until they revealed that Sonic was in the game, and I was like, "Well,
You're Sanic.
I was Sonic for the rest."
I
of my
love
life.
the mods for the other the Brawl hack or whatever that has Sanic in it and stuff.
Yes,
Those are amazing. And Shadow the Hedgehog, of course, because you got to have your edgelords out there.
gotta have the edge lords. Not enough edge in this game. We need some edge.
I bet we'll have
New DLC, Solaris to match the amiibo for.
we'll have Moonform Lycanroc. Watch, that'll be the Pokemon Sun and Moon character.
Oh my god, no, please.
He's the one that makes the most sense. He stands up on two legs. He can do stuff. I don't know who else they would put in there from that game.
You know what? I'm telling you who they should put in there.
Maybe
They should put in Dark Souls character. Just saying.
dude, Dark Souls guy would be awesome.
Dude, put in. They've already made
You
an
can drink
amiibo.
an
Then
Estus
just put
flask.
Solaris in it. Just put
Yeah.
Solaris in it.
You can drink
He's
an
already-
Estus flask and heal some
Yes.
damage back.
I
You can change weapons and stuff.
I know, like
Um,
there's like some people probably saying,
what
like,
was
no,
it?
he's not Nintendo, but
What is it? The lightning javelin attack.
Yeah.
Because he is a
Yeah.
knight, so he would use the electric attacks.
yeah, there you go.
Spells.
They could do it.
I'm telling
People
you,
are already trying to guess who all's in the game because at the bottom of the Smash logo it shows silhouettes of some of the characters. And
it's gonna be your classic roster. I mean, the roster has grown as its core roster every year. It's always gotten bigger. They've always added at least like to the core more. I mean, the biggest jump was from the original game to Melee, and then it's just continued to grow.
yeah.
I am hoping what they'll do with some of the characters though is kind of rebalance them a little bit, because it really looked like one of the things they were doing was trying to do a lot of balancing patches of the character.
Oh
So I'm
yeah, they
kind of
did a lot of that.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of hoping that when this new one comes out, they really look
Until
at
they
it
until they
give
just
some
stop.
characters. Yeah. Well, I mean,
They're
it
like,
just
here's
stops
Corn and Bayonetta. See ya.
I
Bye.
am hoping that like when the new one comes out, though, that they do look at it and they really kind of look at the toolkits of characters and redesign them a little bit. Because unfortunately, if you've played Pikachu from the first game, he really hasn't changed all that much to this game.
No, he's the same.
He's very much the same. So there are certain effects that he does with certain moves that have changed. I will give it that, but a lot of his moves have stayed the same.
I'm just gonna keep Main and Puff. Don't be rough
power.
with the Puff.
What was the other game?
Wiggly when you're supposed to jiggly, you're gonna have a bad time. So the game that I was super excited that showed up. Oh my god, you don't know. It's been a topic on the show before. I've talked
Saga
about it
Frontier?
as one of my. You say that. I opened up an article to Kotaku. Maybe we should talk about this first. Japan's getting some Switch games we're not getting yet.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that. I forgot.
They're getting a new
Unacceptable.
Saga game called Saga
new
Scarlet
Saga.
Grace.
Wait, they're getting seriously a new Saga game?
Yep.
Yep.
What?
You're getting a little taco drum game that has stuff from
Yeah,
Splatoon 2
that's-
and Super Mario Odyssey,
Yeah, that's
and a
running
new
series.
and
I
a
watch
Fantasy
people
Star
stream it.
game, Fantasy Star
Yeah.
Online
Whoa,
2
whoa.
Cloud,
Wait, I'm
which
sorry,
launches
can-
on April 4th in
They
They
Japan.
decided to name it after your favorite character.
Are you serious? They're getting a Fantasy Star Online game?
Yep.
Man.
Well, here you go, Meta. It's not region locked, so you can just buy the Japanese version and play
Oh,
it in
yeah.
glorious Nippon. Gee.
Yeah, Moon Runes. I love playing my games in Moon Runes.
But
Maybe they'll maybe if they're not coming over, they'll include an English
Subtitle thing.
Subs. Yeah, there's some Gundam games that do that they don't for PS4 that they're not they didn't release them over here, but they still have English.
a man can hope. I'm still waiting on freaking Cold Steel 3, so I'm just hoping that shows up at E3. We at least get something there. Oh my god. But anyways, we got some new Octopath Traveler stuff.
Like 10 seconds.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
It was more than 10 seconds. It was
Yeah.
like a minute and a half, I think. So they revealed two new main characters. We got Tressa, who's a merchant class. Her path action, if you don't know the whole shtick behind Octopath Traveler, it's that you have kind of like Mario, Paper Mario-esque stuff you can do out of battle depending on what character you are, and it usually interacts with NPCs. Like, one character can challenge people to duels. The other one is a dancer, so she can allure people and get them to follow you around and fight with you in battle. Tressa is a merchant. Her path action is purchase, so you can purchase and haggle with NPCs and buy special items off of them. And the other character they talked about was Alphen, who's an apothecary, and he has the Inquire action. So you can basically get info from NPCs that you couldn't get if you were playing as one of the other characters.
See, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's such a cool, like, out of battle like system. It works really well. And characters also start out with their base job, but then they can get another job. We got job system. It's made by the people who made Bravely Default, so all the jobs. Get them all. I was so happy that they put that in because I love the job system in every game it's in. I just hope it's not like you can't go completely insane like you can in Bravely Default to where you can't beat the game.
You should play Dragon Quest VII.
I should. There's a lot of old Dragon Quests I need to play.
There's a job system.
I love the job system. It's one of my favorite, like, old school JRPG things.
Yeah, there's like normal RPG jobs and monster jobs that you can like learn monster, or you can basically assign a monster as your job.
Everybody's a blue mage.
So,
and they gave us a release date, July 13th. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. It's coming out in 4 months. I thought it was going to be fall. I think I've been harpooning on that forever. The game's so close, man.
Yeah.
It's so close.
Be the next game I buy for Switch, probably.
Yeah, it's oh my god. I can't say it. Just the demo made me so hot. I got so much nostalgia. So many of the feels playing that demo. Almost brought a freaking tear to my eye. It's so...
I have to play that demo, but that demo looks so reminiscent of like Saga Frontier gameplay that
Yep, I haven't played any of the Saga Frontier games, but a lot of people say that it is very much like them.
I played the one on PS2 because it came with X2 demo.
Really?
Yeah, you were talking about that the other night.
Saga Frontier.
Or it was a Saga game. I don't know if
I don't know if the Saga games play the same way the Saga Frontier games do, but
yeah, it's just like all the different characters and stuff is basically it's that whole kind of shtick.
Yeah, Saga Frontier was like you had like all the different characters you could play as. You would choose one, and they would have their own set of. It's very much like Octopath Traveler. You would choose your base character. You would follow their story, and you could pick up all the other characters during their story as well, or at least a number of them. But they would have them themselves their own special power. Yeah. Okay, then yeah.
Much replay value.
It was great.
Wow. You have to assume the role of one of 7 characters.
Yep.
Is the Unlimited Saga game. So it's been a long time.
So, man, I'm so freaking excited to play. Oh, you don't know. I want the game so bad. I want this. I want Dragon Quest XI. I just want it all.
I wanted Final Fantasy, or not Fire Emblem.
Yeah, Mao didn't get... I would have liked to see it too. Maybe we'll see it at E3. You gotta leave some stuff for E3 now. You gotta leave some stuff.
I didn't care about any of this except Octopath. I could have gotten rid of all of the others and just give me Fire Emblem.
Well, now you don't have to listen to people bitch about Smash Bros. Anymore. There is that. Now they'll just start bitching about what characters are in the game.
Dude, they're always gonna be bitching about Smash Bros. If it's not bitching about the fact that something's broken, it's bitching about the fact that it's not there. And if it is there, it's bitching about the fact that it's not casual or it's not competitive enough or it's something.
What do you mean there's no break the target mode? How dare you take that out of Smash Bros. For Wii U?
That was the pinnacle of challenge and testing one's skill. You can't just strip that away. It's what made the game and what it is.
Master Hand isn't a playable character after all this time?
Gosh damn it! They just ruined everything. Don't give it what anybody wants.
Oh my god. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd like a 8-bit Mario character. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet, to be honest with you. There's so many different freaking Marios.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So yeah, that was the Switch stuff. Basically, all anyone's going to talk about is Smash Bros. But man, that Octopath Traveler.
That's the thing I cared about.
Octopath looks
excited.
Really good.
This is Square actually doing Final Fantasy stuff like what people think Final Fantasy is.
They're going back to what we love.
It's making the peoples happy. It's giving them what they want. And I like some of the new stuff they do. Final Fantasy 15 is my favorite video game of all time. But also,
all we wanted, gosh damn it, was our old Final Fantasies systems put into the awesome world of modern day technology. That's all we wanted.
Yeah.
Nobody asked for something greater, grander. We were like, gosh damn it, this worked. It was fun. Do this. Maybe improve a little bit. Give us a great story. Call it a day.
Yeah. And it looks like that's what we might be getting here. So
it writes itself.
Yeah. So we'll be looking forward to that, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it come July, whenever I stay up all night. And,
when you put 60 hours into your first 24 hours of the game.
Yeah, somehow. I've been the rules of space and
space and time to play the games.
He beat Octopath Traveler in 1 hour.
He somehow has a file though that says he's 80 hours in. Seems weird.
Somebody's been hunting down FedEx trucks, driving down the highway. Give me copies of Octopath Traveler, dude. What are you talking about? As I get blasted away the shop.
We're gonna have 2 weeks before the game comes out. We're gonna be like, "Where is Obs? He's been oddly silent." You're gonna pop in and you'll be like, "I got it. I've got a copy."
I got shot though. I'm in the hospital.
Was worth it. Playing it out.
I had to put the cartridge under my tongue when the police arrested me. It tastes so bad. They put that childproof stuff on it. Oh my god.
It doesn't actually taste that bad.
No, it doesn't. I licked it.
No, it actually doesn't. It's like one of the most bitter things, but honestly,
it's pretty bitter, but whatever.
The stuff they put in canned air is way worse.
Yeah. But I think that's because canned air can kill you. So.
It's whipped cream. All right. This has been episode 45 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in their own video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Check us out on social media. We're at twitter.com/podcast5r, facebook.com/p5r podcast. Check out Meta and them stream, twitch.tv/psoflow. Mal and I will be streaming tomorrow, maybe, if you're free. We haven't actually talked about when we're streaming this week. Mal's gone. We'll talk about it later.
Sorry.
Are we good? We'll
talk zoned out. You were really boring.
We'll talk about it after this. We'll talk about it after.
I'm not used to having to participate in the outro.
I'm sorry.
I'm fine with whenever.
Twitch.tv/podcast of Five Rings. All spelled out.
I might actually join you guys for that because I might not have my game group tomorrow. So
okay, feel free to. We would love to have you. We've had pets on a few times.
I will contribute nothing.
A lot of it. We had a lot of fun on the last one because it was me and the first hour and a half of the stream was me bitching about Kingdom Hearts for like an hour.
Yeah, our last one was the least we talked about the actual game going.
Yeah,
on.
we were talking about Marvel movies.
Yeah, we were in grind and autopilot mode.
Yeah, basically.
Also, we were both exhausted.
Yeah.
I need almost to go back and just listen to it. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was almost like a little special episode of Podcast of Five Rings with just me and Mao. Mao and Obsidian. Almost dying to the rockets in the rocket tower. We almost lost our core because I didn't switch him out. And against a top that he was like super weak to. And I was like, oh god, he's dead. But anyways, all right. Well, we'll see you guys later. Hopefully with Tet's back next week. If he escapes from the Shadow Realm. That does work.
Escapes.
Bye.
Later.
Bow, bow, bow.